Just like to welcome Sifu Jim Uglow, long-term practitioner, over 40 years of Hung Gar, making him one of the senior Hung Gar practitioners in the UK. Welcome, Jim. Sifu Jim, thank you very much for joining us today.
Hi, Alex. Hi, Nish. Thanks for inviting me.
No, our pleasure.
It was great to have you, and you were one of the names that Sifu Paul, said, look, if you're going to have to get someone on, speak to Sifu Jim about his Hung Gar, it will be a good one. So we were like, yes, we have to make it happen.
We have a similar journey, being Paul. Similar journey from the east of London to the far east.
He's just
good
joined
timing.
in well.
He's just joined us.
He's just joined us.
Is he there? Hello, Paul.
Hi, Sifu Paul.
And Sifu Sean Whitaker's on, and Sifu Steve Hayes.
Sifu Stephen Worcester as well. Some of these guys you must know. Right, let's kick off.
Our first question is always tell us about you. Tell us about your training history. How did you first get into martial arts?
It was the Bruce Lee movies. In 1971, I think it was The Fist of Fury. I saw it at the local cinema, and it was very exciting. Nothing happened before like that, so we all went crazy. But I enrolled in a karate school. I can't remember where it was now, in 71 something. I don't remember anything about it, but it was just like one of those things, everyone joined in the wave.
Yeah.
And you're originally from East London, is that?
Stratford, yeah.
Stratford, yeah. All right,
yeah.
So you joined the karate school in East London, and how long were you there for?
Oh my God, a few months, maybe 6 months, a year. I really can't remember.
Yeah.
I didn't do anything with it. I wasn't very good at it. I just joined in, and it was quite violent in those days. No one knew what they were doing.
Yeah.
Just mixed it up, and we were doing karate. So I never had a uniform.
How did you eventually come to Kung Fu, or was Hung Gar your first Kung Fu experience, or?
I did. I don't know if some people will tell you in the early 70s when Bruce Lee hit the scenes. There's a lot of Chinese people that had takeaways were suddenly masters. So a lot of us got. I went to King's Cross and put a $5 down on this Kung Fu class, and they disappeared. They used to hire a hall for the night, get a load of people in, and they'd disappear. So we didn't know what was going on. So eventually I found Hung Gar.
Wow! And who was who did you first start learning Hung Gar with?
Lai Wei-Fung. Lai Wei-Fung was from Chinatown, and I didn't even know his name or the name of the style for a year. It was old in those days. They didn't used to talk too much. It was just training. It was good, hard training, but you didn't have any questions, and I don't know if they're good. The English was reasonable, but they could easily say, I don't understand. So, you didn't get many questions in. And after a year, I said, I've got a couple of questions. And he said, what can you ask after a year? I said, what's the name of the style and what's your name?
What's the name of the style?
What's your name?
God, that is honestly true. I had no idea what I was doing.
Were you calling him Sifu, or were you calling him Sir?
Called him Sifu, but he didn't like it because he was quite young. He said I was 18 when I learned, and my teacher was very young. He was very honest. I have to say, very honest. He said, "You can call me Sifu, but I'm not really. I'm just teaching you." So my experience was in early days was very humble from people. So it stayed with me all my life. This idea.
Yeah.
Wow. So you did a year of a style you didn't know, which was Hung Gar, with the Sifu whose name you didn't know.
Didn't know.
So what was that? What was that? What made you stay for a year? I mean, what was the first training session like, and how did it kind of continue? What were you doing? Were you doing like marble and
yeah, you do warm ups, which I've no idea what I was doing then. We just do some warm ups, and we'd do some circuit training in a big gym, and then we'd do forms and then some sparring. It was fairly simple. I enjoyed it. I loved it.
Yeah. That sounds great.
And I was working on the markets at the time in Stratford Market and Billingsgate, and so I used to get up very early and all afternoon to myself. So I used to go and see him to train with him privately as well, not just the group classes. So I was quite lucky.
Yeah, that sounds great.
And what was your general kind of day-to-day class like? Was it very traditional in the way that you were taught? Like, how did that look like?
As I say, you begin with a warm up. You salute at the beginning. You begin with a warm-up, then forms and sparring, and that's it for a couple of hours.
That was it, yeah.
Yeah, that was it. Forms were great. I love the forms. I was so intrigued by the forms and the applications. Yeah. Sparring, you can, it's no problem. You do what you want, but the forms were fascinating for me.
Right. And how long were you training with, sorry, who was the gentleman?
Lai Wei-Fung.
And how long were you with Lao Wei Feng for?
I stopped going because he stopped teaching me, and he told me to go to Hong Kong. And he moved house and didn't tell me where he was.
He didn't want you to follow him.
No, he said, no, you got more interest than I have. He's honest. I did. It must have been probably 6 or 7 years with him, and I was happy.
Wow.
I'm a loyal person. And then he said one day, why don't you go to Hong Kong, do it properly? I said, well, I'm happy with you. He said, yeah, but you got to go. So he's on at me for a few months, and then eventually he moved house and wouldn't tell me where he's going to go till I went to Hong Kong.
Right.
So,
So when you went to Hong Kong, did he tell you where to go, who to see?
Well, it's obviously Chen Hon-chung, but I didn't know who he was at the time because of Lam Sai Wing. Lam Sai Wing was the main guy. You know, Lam Sai Wing and Lao Soi, was it the one that bought, these guys bought the Hong Kong arts to the colony, so from China. So there's a very similar, about 1917, Lam Sai Wing brought Hong Kong over. So my teacher was one of his students.
Right.
But he told me to go for him, but I had no idea what I was doing.
So what year did you start Hung Gar first? What year was that?
78, as I remember.
So 78, and then you did that for seven or 8 years.
6 or 7 years. It must have been 6 or 7 years. Yeah.
Yeah.
85, something like that.
So around 1985, and then when did you go to Hong Kong?
That year, I went straight away. As soon as you wouldn't let me know where he was, I went. So I went straight away. That much within a month. I knew what was going on. Yeah, well, I knew he was definitely not going to talk to me. He said, I'm not going to talk to you. I'm going to move house. You're not going to know where I am. So I was prepared, and I knew he wouldn't let me know where he was. So I started saving up, and I had a family death. My nan died, so I took the money and went.
So in those 7, let's say 7 years, in the 7 years,
yeah,
what did you learn?
Forms, all the main forms, exercise, sparring, 2-man exercises. I loved it. I absolutely loved it.
So when you went to Hong Kong, did you find that you could fit in straight away, or was there loads of adjustment?
Loads of adjustments.
Right.
Cultural shock was massive.
Was this the first time you'd ever sort of been abroad, or
No, I've been abroad before. I travelled, but not that far. Only to Europe. I've never been that distant before. And in those days, you're talking about 19 hours because you have to stop several times. I mean, one time I had to stop 5 times. You go, shuttle across.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's like 2 days of travel.
If you sort of went to the Philippines and Thailand for a couple of nights, it is much cheaper. So that's what I used to do. Some terrible journeys. Now it's straight 12, 13 hours you're there.
Yeah.
But in those days, it was a nightmare. You're talking 24 hours door to door minimum.
Did you have a letter of invitation or anything, or did they were they expecting you, or?
Well, I had a small class running. One of my students went to China, and he found out. He searched it for me, so he sent me a letter. No email in those days; it was all by letter. And no mobile phones, nothing. And he said, "I found him for you." So I was so grateful to him.
So, I mean, tell us about going to Hong Kong. Tell us what happened there. I mean,
well, the shock, the heat, the culture. Don't forget, this is Mongkok, which is not a tourist area in those days. Very few foreigners were there, but the family was quite, it was crowded, and it was very few foreigners. And I didn't speak the lingo, so they didn't speak much English. But the son of the master was good, so he was very helpful to me. He was the middleman. He sorted me all out.
Yeah. And how did it go when you met? So who was the Sifu there?
Chen Hon-chung.
So when you first met him, how did what was that experience like?
Well,
did he ask you to do a form, or did he talk to you? Or?
What used to happen, he used to knock on the door, and there was usually, he had a Ditdar clinic, so you'd have to wait for the patients to finish. And he had this settee, which was old plastic, looked like leather, but it's plastic. You used to sweat, you stick to it. And he used to leave you there to see your character. And it's like he kept walking past you and not speak. So I knew that as a test. Yeah. It wasn't as dramatic like the movies, but it was still unusual for an Englishman. He's not talking to me. Where's he going? He's walking past me.
Yeah.
Eventually, the son came in and said, right, my father will see you now. So I went into the gym and he asked me to show a form. So it was Gongji, which is the original Hung Gar form. So apparently inside there, you can't hide your character. This is what I was told. So at the end of the form, I was nervous. I had jet lag. It was probably chaos. The master said, "Oh, you're a nice boy. I like your character. You've got a room upstairs." And that was it. I was in.
That was it?
Yeah, that was it.
Wow.
See, Chen Hon-chung trusted his own judgment massively. He trusted himself so much. He never doubted himself. That's what Hung Gar maybe did for him. So as soon as he saw my character, he said something to the son. He said in English, he likes your character. You've got a room upstairs. Done. That was it.
Sorted.
That was it. Honest to God, that was it. That was all it was, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, you did well on that sofa then.
Yeah.
Well, but you
One
peeled
wrong
yourself
word.
off it. I was getting the ump, I must say. I was getting the ump.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can imagine.
No, he did well. He did well.
So you got a room upstairs. How long were you there for?
I stayed there for a month because my money ran out. I had to come back. So that's what happened for the next 30 years. I've been doing the same. I've been staying as long as I can.
Yeah.
Usually not longer than a month because I can't afford it. It's the money.
Yeah.
And then I come back and save up.
So what was that? What was that month like? What was your first official kind of lesson like? Was it the next day? And
it was very clear to me that I'm not good enough and I wasn't strong enough for this training. So that to reduce the energy level of the training because I was not good. I could feel my heart coming up into my mouth, and I realised I wasn't strong, I wasn't clever. Really was a good eye-opener as a character builder.
how was that? I mean, after 7 years of
Yeah, but this is a different environment. This is different. You know, in England, you go home. In here, you're living with the master, having dinner with him 3 times a day. There's not much to escape, you know. And
Right.
I didn't go there to be a monk, but I didn't go there as a tourist either. So I threw myself into it.
Yeah.
I was trying to absorb the culture every moment. Every month, I tried to absorb the culture.
Yeah, yeah. I think that's really important as well.
Yeah, to observe the culture. They like that. If you don't
If you do
observe
traditional
culture,
art, yeah, exactly.
yeah,
'Cause it's more, like you said, it's more than just going to a class, paying your money and leaving. You actually
No, you can't
live
do
in
it.
your Sifu or
Yeah.
whether
That's
they
it. You
want
have
to
to
see that
absorb-
kind of integration a
Yeah.
little bit. a
they
little
can see you,
absorption.
even if you're not clever, which I'm not, they can see you trying, so they give you the benefit of the
Yeah.
doubt.
Yeah, a few words go a long way.
Yeah,
I've found.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what were your first few lessons like in Hong Kong? I mean, what like was
well,
it?
incredible. It's an eye-opener.
Yeah.
All the small details of the posture that my other teacher didn't know, but he said to me, I don't know the whole system, so he's honest anyway in London.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But when I got to Hong Kong, the accuracy of the training and the body language was incredible. The first 2 hours was absolutely incredible.
Wow.
Accuracy, you know, because you've got to get the tendons correct, the bones, the meridians. Oh, unbelievable. And the
Yeah.
mind has to be correct. What an
Yeah.
experience. Unbelievable.
You suddenly realise how deep the art really is as well,
Yeah,
don't you?
yeah. And they never give it large, these Chinese. They don't, well, the one, my family didn't. Most
Yeah.
of them don't, because they know it's hard. It's hard work.
Yeah.
Very demanding on the mind and the body. But then you don't go for a holiday, do you?
Oh, you don't.
Part and
No, I
parcel.
didn't.
No.
I didn't. Still don't. Mostly, I don't know. I know bits of Hong Kong, but mostly I go to train. Even now,
Yeah.
I don't want to waste
Yeah.
a moment. I'm too hungry I'm too hungry and selfish to lose anything.
Yeah. Sifu Jim, for,
If Julian Dale's on as well, he says, hi, Jim.
Hello, Julian.
Sifu Jim, for those that might not be aware, could you tell us a little bit about Hong Kong, the history, and about the style?
Yeah, well, supposedly it's from Hong Hagun, who was the student of the headmaster in the Fukien Temple. When they went south, when they got the original temple was burned down, they went all south, didn't they, to Fujian? And the headmaster, Chisin Simsi, had a student called Hong Hagun, and that's the beginning of the system. So when that temple was burned down, they had the 5 ancestors, Hong Lao, Chua Li Mok. They're the 5 guys known as the 5 ancestors that made a blood pact, as this is what I've been told. Anyone's got a bit different history, please let me know. They made a blood pact and went all different directions because they thought if all 5 were killed, the art's gone. So they separated, and that's how all these divisions occurred.
Mm.
But they usually put it in order: Hong, Lao, Choi, Li, Mok. Always those 5, because they're in seniority. Hong was the oldest student at the time.
And how does your lineage go back to Hong?
So our lineage goes back. I'll tell you quickly. Hong Hagun taught Lok Ah Choi. Lok Ah Choi taught Wong Kai Ying, Wong Fei Hong, as you these guys, and then Lam So Wing to my teacher.
Right. Okay. Got it.
Yeah.
There are of course other branches, but the main one we see in the West and Hong Kong now is from Lam So Wing. He was the main guy. He had loads of students, and they all separated out and created different branches, all from the same idea.
Right.
Right. Yeah. Lamsai wing.
Lamsai wing, yeah.
Hmm.
He came across it in 1917. That's what they think around about then. He killed a guy, didn't he, in a fight in China, and it was the wrong person. He killed someone who was very connected to the runners who ran the town, so he had to do a runner. He had to get out. He had to get out of Dodge quickly.
Yeah, that sounds like something you have to do.
Yeah.
Quite often in those days, that's what happened.
Yeah. That story's kind of, you know, echoed in a lot of other styles.
It was a similar era. So
and can you describe Hung Gar as a system in terms of its usage and stance work and the techniques?
Yeah, it comes from Shaolin, the South Shaolin, so it's obviously got a different flavour to the North Shaolin because of the history. Right. And it developed from Mr. Hung himself, who didn't have a wife, he got married, so you can see all the influences coming from different areas. That's where the crane came from his wife, because he only knew Tiger style. So his wife's father was one of the main guys of the crane system, so that he got married. There's a whole story about that, but it's quite long. Yeah. But anyway, they got married and had a kid, and she taught him the soft. That's the story, the alleged story. Yeah, but the iron wire, the internal, he got from the Unwei, you know, the nun with one arm, where Wing Chun have their root from. Right. She had the book about the secret of this, which is famous Hung Gar handset. Yeah. So she had the book, and she lost the arm getting the book at the library to give to Hung. This is the story.
Yes, I've heard this. Yes.
Right. Yeah. Unmoy. Yeah, they call it in Mandarin. So it's in Mandarin. I only do Hong Kong Cantonese. So Unmoy was the nun that taught Hung, and she taught him the snake principles, which is inside. This is what I was told.
That's quite interesting.
Yeah. So
she
he didn't have any. Well, yeah, she lost the arm out of it in the battle, apparently.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that was the Titsing
Kun. Yeah. Not really, because Titsing didn't come till another 2 or 3 generations later.
Right.
So the internal system wasn't Titsing then. This is only 4 or 5 generations old. Originally, it was the internal, which I wouldn't know. It's from the snake system, the chi system of the snake that Moy taught him. So he obviously had that, but him, it's only Wong Fei Hung that did the iron wire, and he learned it from outside the system.
Do you know
very
from
interesting
where?
History. Yeah, he learned it from from another guy. I forgot his name now, but the one with he had his Marcus, so they called him Three Eyes.
Right. And I read that Wang Fei Hung, who's obviously very famous in terms of Chinese culture, restructured the Hong Kong system quite a lot, right?
Allegedly, yeah. They all said he introduced the concept of a 2-man form and the Fu Hok. Yeah. Before that, it was only Gong Ji. And then, of course, he learned then later in his life, he learned the iron wire.
Yeah. Is it because, you know, with Hong Kong, they refer to five animals, right?
Yeah.
Did it ever originally express as 10 animals as such as some of the other things, like maybe
not that I know of. Okay. Not that I know of. There are a few techniques which I was quite surprised, where you have as you can see the hand. Yeah. This is from the monkey style, but we only use it in one application. It's called monkey paw.
Right.
And we have the scorpion technique.
Yeah.
These are all not supposed to be included in the 5 animals because they're not 5 animals. Yeah. So there's the scorpion.
Yeah, they're not a complete essence. It's just like a particular technique.
Not considered pure, you see, I suppose. And you have mouse step, the step like a mice.
Yeah.
Which we have.
And all this stuff was not, the people they don't like to write about it too much because it's not the 5 animals.
Yeah.
But when you're talking about a fighting art, you need to absorb anything you can to win the fight. So my master, who was very good at the monkey paw, you can see it. Probably everyone's probably got this, but we call it monkey paw. But we're not supposed to have 6 animals or 7 animals, so they just call it a technique.
Just call it a technique.
Yeah.
What do the with respect to the 5 animals, which seem to be quite prevalent within sort of Shaolin 5 animal style? So you've got the tiger, the leopard, the crane, the snake, and the
dragon.
The dragon.
Dragon represents the mind. In Hung Gar, that's 20% is the body, is the mind.
Right.
Each animal has a 20% attribute for training on the basic level. So the dragon represents the mind and the internal. Well, the snake's the internal, sorry. The dragon represents the mind aspect.
Right. And the tiger is the
bones.
But interesting.
Originally to make the bones strong.
Right.
So the bones become, you get hit with a block, you don't feel it. It's good in fighting, you don't feel pain. It's quite an advantage.
So tiger bones, dragon mind, snake.
Sinew, snake is breath, air, the hay. Matsuton calls it chi, but we call it hay.
Haigong.
Haigong, yeah. I read an interesting article on the internet the other day, might not be relevant, but I'm going to tell you, where the term Qigong was only coined from one of Mao Zedong's assistants. Before that, they never called it Qigong, called it Haigong, like we all do. Haigong is the correct term. If you read the character for Qi, Hong Kong master, or Kung Fu master from the south, or Hong Kong, they won't say the word Qi, he'll say Hai anyway. So it's the same word, but different.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So
it's like a bowl of rice, isn't it?
Yeah, well, rice and steam.
Yeah, and steam. The steam is the
characters. Mao Zedong took away one of the characters to make it rubbish.
Yeah.
Right.
Make it hot air. Literally hot air. The character now means hot air, which is, you can talk hot air, can't you? It has no Kung Fu connotation. He's a clever boy, but he's very naughty as well.
Very naughty, yeah. Very naughty.
Yeah.
Okay. So you have the leopard.
Power. For us, power.
Right.
Because the leopard's a little bit crazy. So you have to, when you do your final attack, you mustn't think, you must have no fear. You go for the kill. That's the leopard, because he's much smaller than a tiger.
Yeah.
Tigers can use power to create fear. Leopards can't do that. They're too small, so they have to be a little bit unhinged.
Right.
This is how it's talked to me. Anyway.
And the last one being the crane?
Yeah, sinew.
Sinew.
Right. Because the old monks, this is the story I was told by my teacher, the old monks watched the crane fly off 100 feet in the air in a second and never pulled a muscle. That's their first observation.
Right.
So therefore, if they're not using the muscle, what are they using? And they said sinew. So for us, crane is sinew training. Sinew and ligaments and all that.
Yeah, and it's interesting because it's like the cycle, isn't it, of the mind, the yi leading the blood, leading the chi, leading the blood, and sinews,
all connected,
bones. So it follows that cycle.
Is
the training done in that order?
No, you do the first form. The first form is a plum blossom flower. So it takes ages to flower and it stays out. This is a metaphor. Muay Fakun is a plum blossom. And that's mainly for tiger. Then you have the crane, the leopard, which is second style. And that's about turning the body. So the first form in Hung Gar, you control the center line. That's the purpose of the movement. The second form is to yield to the center line. They're your first two forms in Hung Gar.
What's the second form called?
Lao Gar Kun.
Lao Gar Kun, okay.
Lao Gar Kun, second form in Hung Gar. In our family, when I speak, anyone watching has other ideas, I can't say sorry. I only speak about my family.
Gotcha. Yeah, absolutely.
I can't speak about other families or other history. I only know what I know.
So the first one would be plum blossom, and then the second would be Lao Gar Kun.
Lao Gar Kun, yeah. Then you get the big boy, Gongji Fu Kun.
Yes, the big boy.
The big boy form.
Why is that? So, out of interest, what is the importance? Because this, I think, translated, is it taming the tiger or I character?
Yeah, yes. That. Sorry, but that's rubbish.
Okay.
The I character is simply the Chinese word for gong on the floor. Right. That's what your footwork makes.
Right.
But some Westerners called it I shape. Well, I is that way. We're talking about down on the floor with the footwork. Creates the character for gong.
Right.
Hence gongji. So ji is like
the character. Some
academic thing, yeah. So the gong is what your footwork does on the floor. Yeah. That's the gong.
Right. So
the name of the form, Fuk Fu doesn't mean to subdue. Doesn't mean to tame. It means to entice. It's a very interesting character. Fuk Fu is a very interesting character. To control a tiger, you're not going to win if you meet him head on. You have to use smartness. So so some people call it subdue the tiger. And you think about this, you can't. You as a human cannot subdue a tiger. Don't bother. In those days, there's no guns. A bow and arrow is not going to stop a tiger. You're a goner.
Yeah.
So to tame him, my teacher used to laugh at that. He used to say, this makes me laugh so much. Yeah, go and tame a tiger. Go on, off you go.
Good luck.
Maybe in a circus, but then again, it can turn any time. So the taming of a tiger is I think it's come from America, maybe. I don't know, but we don't use it.
Okay.
We say Fuk Fu, which means to, it's difficult to explain, but it means to not to be killed by a tiger. You've got to do something. So one metaphor is, if you build a big hole with some stakes at the bottom and cover it with leaves, stand behind it, and then bring the tiger in, it'll fall in the hole.
Yeah.
You've controlled him. That's what Fuk Fu means for us.
Maybe outsmart, or maybe...
Yeah, or use whatever you've got to win, because the tiger sees you, he'll jump onto you, and there's a hole in the floor with some stakes with some leaves over the top.
Yeah.
It falls in. You've won.
Right.
You've won by not losing.
So what does that form teach you, the Gongji?
Teaches you that you're not good enough. It teaches you that you get tired after halfway through. It teaches you that you've got no breath control. You've got no mindset. It teaches you all about what you're not good at.
Wow.
Limitations.
Yeah, it teaches you who you are, basically. There's no argument. If after you finish that form, you know exactly who you are.
Yeah.
You're a schmuck.
Yeah. How was that? How was that when you did it in Hong Kong for the first time with
in Hong Kong? I had to relearn it because the one in England wasn't quite the same. It wasn't so accurate. All respect to my first teacher, but he told me that anyway. He said, this is not accurate, but I'll do what I'm showing you. I'll show you what I know, which is great. But then I went to Hong Kong and he tidied it all up. Took him 8 days to get my head around all the changes and all the accuracy. And then used to do it in 4 directions in a particular way to do with the magnetic current. So you have to follow the certain pattern. You have to do it in a particular way, 4 directions in a particular way, not random 4 directions.
Sure.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's another thing that's interesting about the spiritual and the internal side. You know, why have I got to stand there, and there in the same place every day in the same order? Very strict. Because now I know there's a bigger reason. At the time I didn't know. I thought it was for what do you call it? For cardiovascular, because my heart used to come out my mouth almost like in the cartoon. I could see it. I had to swallow it quick before it jumped out.
Wow.
So, did you? Is it? Are there following the cardinal directions, and is it connected with stars as well?
I don't know to this day. All I know, it's in a particular. It's got to be anti-clockwise in a certain way, facing inwards to the center of the school.
Wow.
Yeah, because a lot of that is tied in with like feng shui and stuff like that.
It's got to be. It's got to be.
Yeah, there's reasons for the collecting the energy in a particular way as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because you're doing it, expending energy, but you're also kind of collecting it and being stronger the next time.
You're also borrowing from a bigger source. You're borrowing from a bigger source, which is you can only borrow, you can't take because they won't like it.
Nah.
You take it, they won't like it.
Yeah,
to borrow it properly because you have to pay it back.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah. Hopefully not with interest.
if you I found out if you follow the master, the payback is normal. There's no negative to it.
Yeah.
You just get tired.
You just get tired
and no ego.
What was do you have any stories that come to your mind with your Sifu? Something that just kind of you can never forget, like either if it's a funny story or something he said to you or did to you, or
well, we didn't rehearse this, so I'll have a look. There's one thing that sticks out in my mind. I took a student who was a lovely bloke, but a little bit dopey. He'll agree if he was here. He's a little bit dopey. Anyway, he went to Hong Kong. He'd never been out of Onga in his life. So from Onga to Hong Kong, we almost didn't make it because we got stopped at Philippines and he was hiding his wallet and he looked so suspicious. It was like, it's a horrible journey. Anyway, so we get there and he couldn't physically sit into the postures. And I kept saying to the Sifu through the sun, he physically can't do it. He's young, but he physically can't do it. He's got a little bit learning problems, okay? A good guy. So he can never get his horse right. He can never get his back straight in his jamar. So what we did one day, we got a broom, big, thick, soft broom in his back and wedged it to the wall. And when she quickly shouted to Sifu, quick, look. And he was perfect. He was standing perfect. Not like that, that's wrong. But he was standing perfectly for a second. Then the Sifu went in the room and went, oh, fantastic. Then he went, hang on. He went round and saw the broom on the wall. Bit of humour, that's all.
Yeah.
What were some of the kind of key learnings that came out for you from your Sifu overall for your Honggar?
Is every day. I used to go to breakfast, dinner, and lunch with him. So every day was a learning process. How he walked, you walk in the street. And I'll tell you quickly, we used to walk in the street, had a lot of enemies, don't forget. All these guys have lots of enemies.
Really?
And every time we went past this particular place, we always ate breakfast at the same restaurant outside the school. and I had to walk one pace behind him, but not behind him, but a little bit. I was told how to walk by the sun.
Yeah.
So I accept the rules. I accept that, no problem. And there's always one place where they'd all throw oil on the floor as he walked past. And all along the bench, outside bench, it's hot there, they had little knives sellotape to the wall, to the edge of the, outside the edge of the table.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, I'm English, you don't do that. But he used to do it. He used to walk past and go, Suzanne, be careful, careful. Yeah. He's worried about me. This is guy who's old, 70. He's worried about me. Every day they did this. There's something about the Chinese that I don't understand. You're not going to win. Why do you have to do it? It's their face.
Yeah.
Crazy. They made me laugh. Every day they do the same thing.
Yeah, the same thing, yeah.
He could walk round, but he won't walk. He has to go the same way, and he's got to do the same thing with the oil.
Every morning.
Every morning.
What was how did you retain information back then? I mean, was this before kind of you were able to record stuff? Were you writing things down?
No, this is where my advantage comes in. I have no intellect. It's such an advantage when you learn from Kung Fu. If you've got too much intellect, over the years I've realised.
Yeah.
If you've got intellect, it gets in the way of you remembering stuff. I've got no intellect. It's fabulous.
You just remembered it all.
I just seem to remember it. Of course, they teach you in a special way.
Yeah.
You understand, you've experienced this from Paul, maybe, the transmission, where you teach or you transmit. You can do one or the other, or sometimes both. They both exist. Transmission is radio waves. Yeah. How I teach it to my guys is, if you believe in the TV, you believe in radio waves. I say to them, show me BBC One. Where is it in the street? Where is it in the air? You can't see it. That's how they teach you in Hong Kong sometimes.
Right.
So it's called transmission, which is exactly how you do a TV transmitter. And they said to me, Sifu always transmits. If you get the right channel and you're the correct receiver, you'll remember it. And they've never forgotten that.
Wow.
That's quite fascinating.
Well, that's how I learned. For me, it was maybe unusual at the time. It was very strange at the time. You are a receiver. Sifu is the transmitter. You receive. That's all your job is, to receive. If you receive, he'll recognise it, he'll transmit. So I remembered everything. I can't remember everything, but I've got a pretty good memory for most things.
Right.
Apart from my name sometimes. And where my car is and where my car is.
Where you put your car
no intellect. Hence the original question. No intellect is such an advantage. I don't think about things. I don't think.
Was there anything particularly new to the system that you learned that you didn't learn whilst you were in London? Any sort of two-man forms or jongs or anything like that? Yeah,
this is funny. See, when I went to Hong Kong, I used to get so many lessons every day from some of the seniors whose English was good. And I said, oh, this is new to me. And one of them said, no, you did the new one in England. We're doing the original one now. I thought that was funny.
Yeah, that's right.
You've already done the new one. You're now doing the original. So nothing's new, he said. You did it in a different way already.
Yeah, going backwards to the root.
Yeah, I went to the root, yeah.
So just going back to the Ditzin Kun, it's the form where you use the sounds. Yeah. And those sounds are kind of in attunement with the organs. Is that right?
That's what they say. Yeah, that's what they say.
So is the practice of doing that and making those sounds to improve health?
So the theory of this, as I was told, again, it's only what I've been told, is if you are very, very healthy, you have every chance of creating power. The goal is in Kung Fu to create power, physical power for fighting and spiritual power to get to heaven. This is what I was told. As simple as that. So if you are very, very healthy and sound mind and body, you're going to have the chance to make power. The chance. It's not guaranteed. Power is not guaranteed, but you can do something about your health. If your health is really, really good level, you've got every chance to create power in the train. That's what it's in Kun is for me. That's what it's all about.
Yeah,
right.
Power.
Yeah. So it's the form is obviously is to create that internal power.
Yeah, it's alchemy, isn't it? It's metal into gold.
Yeah, and that makes it's both, isn't it?
Chi into Geng. That's the metaphor. Metal into gold, Chi into Geng. It's a metaphor. Same thing. Yeah. Yeah. The Geng is sought after. It's very sought after commodity.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. That's the kind of where people aim to get to.
Yeah.
That's the goal. That is our goal. Yeah.
Right. That short expression of power. So you're training your power, but it's how to express it really, like.
Yeah, short and long. See, everything's got yin yang. There is short and long power. Yeah, it's correct. Yeah. Also, how to receive power is another story. Everyone talks about fudging this, fudging that. What about the other one?
Yes.
That also has to exist.
Yeah, absolutely. So
the
that's
ability to take a blow. Most schools teach this. It depends how their family is. We've got our way, and the people have got their way. I'm happy with my way.
Yeah, absolutely.
Of course, yeah.
So the Titsing Quen is the iron wire form, right? Is that
it's called iron wire because you're trying to change the blood, which is inside the bone, into iron. It's a metaphor that the marrow becomes. Yes. So that's just a metaphor for that.
Yeah. But is that the final, the kind of final form of the system, or?
That's the gate to the final. It's the final physical form. Yeah, right, that's the gateway to wherever. Gotcha. And after that, it's up to you. If you ask the right questions, they'll take you further. I personally am interested in the whole thing, the spiritual side of it.
Wow.
Yeah. My personal interest, the Geng, the acquisition of Geng and health, and the internal and that fascinates me so much.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. So
that's incredible.
After Gungji, what's the next form after the Gungji?
Traditionally, it's Fuhok, tiger and crane.
Tiger crane, right.
This is where you introduce the first softness into Hongar officially. It exists before that, actually.
Right.
But they don't teach you it till you've done all the forms. And then you go back to the beginning and learn the softness.
Right, okay.
They're real buggers, they are.
Yeah.
Because the theory is if you are a bad character and you can fool them for the first 7 or 8 physical forms, and they've given you the secret on the first form and the others, then you could be a renegade. So there's a fail safe. So they don't teach you the internal or the soft, the Yalgong and the soft power. They don't teach you that until you've done all the physical forms, and you go back and start again. So you've got the hard, then you learn the internal.
Right. So with Gungji, you have the tigers, the tiger, which you'd say represents the hard sort of style, and then you've got the crane, which is the softer style of that form or the system.
That's not in Gungji. That's the next form now.
Sorry. Fuhok, the tiger crane.
Fuhok Seung-yin means tiger and crane double system.
Got you, right.
And that came from his wife, allegedly, because he didn't learn soft. He only learned the tiger, and he got beat by Pak Mei. So his wife said, you've come back 3 times, you've been battered, dropped him in a vat of dit da to fix him. When are you going to learn, mate? This is the basic story, as I understand it. Yeah. So she said, you should ask me. You've never asked me about my system. You know my father. You never asked me. So that's how the story starts.
Ah. So the story goes that he was defeated by Pak Mei.
I think 3 times, actually.
Wow, not just once, 3 times.
A bit like me, no intellect. You should have realised the first time you got beat up.
If at first you don't succeed.
Get beat again.
So then his missus was like, listen, you need to learn the
I can teach you stuff.
Yeah.
Because imagine in those days, this is a woman, you don't learn from a woman in those days, but she had the secrets from her father who had given it to her to give to him anyway. This is the story.
Right. So then the Fuhok came about, we can say it came about as a way to combat Pak Mei? Or
I can't say that's the theory because he didn't do Fuhok then. So the one is Wong Fei Hong that did Fuhok.
Okay.
The crane principles were incorporated at that period.
Got you.
It would have been during the Gungji, but he probably didn't teach it as a form until Wong Fei Hong. So this is where it's a strange history, really. We don't really know.
Right. Interesting.
Hong Hong would have done Gungji, but not Fuhok.
Okay. So
he wouldn't recognise it.
After Fuhok, you have the 5 animal. Is that the next one?
No, you have Wudip. Wudip is a butterfly palm form. This was introduced, as I was told again. I only say my experience. With the story is that Lam Sao Wing said to his master Wong Fei Hong, "You're scaring people with the Gungji. Every time you do a demo, you do after a lion dance, you do a Gungji. You're scaring people. There's no gentle." So they invented this butterfly palm form for demos. It's the softest and youngest form in Hongar. Some schools don't even do it, but because from the Wong Fei Hung branch, we incorporate it as our 5th form.
Right.
And it's very strange. It's a very strange form because the techniques are from the original 108 Shaolin Wooden Men techniques put into a form 90 years ago. It's very new.
Wow.
And it's purely so that it looks like, because another story was Wong Fei Hung was saying, when did you last have a fight? And all the students were going, well, not recently, no. And you went, this is a problem. How are we going to practice? So by doing a soft form in a demo, you might get someone thinking they've got a chance and you have to practice the fight. That's the story. If you come out doing a form which is powerful, you're going to have less takers because they're going to look and go, God, this guy can hand himself. I don't think I want to fight him. So to get more practice, because they kept winning all the time, we need to appear to be softer and possibly with weaknesses. So we do a nice little gentle form and people might come and have a go.
Entice them in.
Yeah, because the standards we've got otherwise. If you don't fight, you don't get the standards.
Yeah. It's an interesting one. Interesting questions just from Fred Land. It says, how much is the centerline concept emphasized in Hung Gar and how so? You talked about the first form being...
For the first form, yeah. For the first, and there's 12 Hung Gar bridges, and it's focused on the third Gong Yao. Big Jing is the third bridge. That's based on the center line.
Big to press.
Yeah, big means to crowd.
Right, yeah. Okay.
Or if he's attacking you, to not yield. That's the theory behind it, because everything has yin yang. So if I'm quick, I can close your center line down. If I'm slow, I've got to defend my center line. So this is what it's based.
Right. This is what you were talking about, the difference of like giving out the power, but also receiving. Do you yield or do you lock them out or do you divert?
Yeah, swallow. You can swallow them. You can all sorts of things.
Yeah, yeah.
When you say 12 bridges, do you mean like as in like Kyusao, as in 12?
Yeah, Kyusao. Yeah, there's literally 12 ways of the first nanosecond of meeting the enemy. You've got 12 possibilities. When you arrive, there's this fist. Where you arrive, you've got 12 possibilities in Hung Gar.
Wow.
That's the theory. I think every style has this process. They just call it a different thing.
Yeah, for sure.
How you meet the enemy, the contact point, the enemy.
Yeah,
is very, very significant.
You say it is a nanosecond. It's not. It doesn't last longer than that because things are always moving.
Yeah, in our school, I call it the non-faff moment.
Yeah, don't faff about.
Don't faff, you're gone.
Don't faff about, yeah.
Yeah, non-faff moment. Go in.
So after Wu Dip, what's the next form in the system?
Then the 5 animal form.
Right, and what does that contain, and what is that teaching?
That's literally what it is. It's the 5 animals of Hung Gar.
Right.
That may have been one of the older forms. We don't know. Again, it may have been one of the ones Hung Han Grun did. We don't know. Right. But that's 5 animal forms, and that introduces you to the 10 pattern form, which is the 5 animals and 5 element form.
Right.
Or Tissin.
Right. So that's basically expressing the essence of the 5 animals. And do they all have their own element?
No, they're separate. It's 10 individual parts of the form to one form.
So you're expressing the essence of the animal and then the essence of the element.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. As a way of practicing. A form's a practice method, isn't it? Because there's no enemy in front of you. When there's no one there, you still have to train. So that's the way of doing it.
Excellent, because they're like blueprints, aren't they, for the information contained in the system?
Yeah, and then that's such a clever system. They can tell you how much information of that one form you could get several layers. That's why I stayed all these years, because I know that a lot of foreign students, much cleverer than me, finished the forms and didn't go back and became Sifus in their own country in Europe. And I thought, it can't be that. There's got to be more to it, because the seniors, when you contact them, they've got much more. And they're not showing it. So I thought, okay, I'm here for the long haul.
Right.
And even now, who's to know what I'm getting? I mean, what I've got, I'm fantastically happy with. I'm healthy. I'll get my pension this year. I'm a pensioner at the end of the year. I feel wonderful.
Yeah, I
still
think
no brain.
Yeah, still no brain, but healthy as an ox.
I want one.
Yeah.
Donkey maybe. How is a donkey? Maybe?
What's your favourite form and why?
Oh, Tidsin. I'm going to marry it. Tidsin is you read about endorphins, you read about all these chemicals in the process. They've got it. Somebody in history knew about this, but probably didn't know what it was called. Endocrines and serotonin. I've researched all this on the internet because we can now. Right. But these masters never knew that. They just knew you do it like that, you'll feel this, and you do it like this, you'll feel that. These guys knew what they were doing. So the Tidsin every day, I do it most days. I can't say every single day, but I do it probably 5 days a week, 6 days in a good week. And I just feel like, that's my day. I'm sorted. It's wonderful.
Yeah.
Wow. Feel strong, feel happy.
Yeah. You don't know, or it's not known exactly where that came from?
Yeah, it came from opium.
Right, yeah.
I'm not sure we can say that, but might as well speak the truth.
Yeah.
There's a movie made in Hong Kong called Opium and the Kung Fu Master. Because the people that made the movie couldn't say it was Wong Fei Hung's teacher, they had to make, because it's probably not politically correct to say that guy. But the story is, I'll tell you quickly, maybe I'm going to get shot down with this, I don't care. He was a very weak boy, this guy. Titsil Khan, his name was. Titsil Khan, his name, okay? And his father said, you're not going to do martial art because you're going to get hurt. If someone's going to punch you, you're made of nothing. So he had anger. He had this anger. There's the emotional side coming in already. So he did Kung Fu anyway, but he lost a lot of fights. And there's a longer story than this, but I'll give you the quick story.
Sure.
Anyway, so in those days, there was only one painkiller after a fight, and that was opium.
Yeah.
If people are watching this, you mustn't think these guys were junkies. Opium was probably a very natural grade. They used to smoke it as oil. I haven't done it, unfortunately, myself. I'd love to, but it's not a good idea at the moment. Anyway, yeah, it's always in their mind, isn't it? Because it's historical. Officer. I did it. It's historical officer, as I'll get arrested. No.
Did it for research purposes only.
Research, exactly. Yeah, I wonder if I'll get away with it. I'll quote you, Alex, on that. Alex told me it's research. Anyway, he had a particularly bad injuries from this fight and took extra opium, and he had his trip. This is the story. I tend to believe this, to be honest, because having done the form on 3 different levels, I'm now on the last section of it, believe it or not. They've now, just 2 years ago, they teach me the last layer. Whether they're lying or whether it is the last layer. It feels like it's the last layer. I feel it is. So, anyway, thank you, ancestors. So he had this very long trip. He came out, and this form arrived. Next fight, he's fighting, and his mates went, where the hell did that come from? These techniques. He went, oh, my last trip. So whether it's a story, I tend to think there's some element of truth in it. Exactly what I told you, I don't know. But the conscious mind opened, and he came back with this Tidsin principle.
Wow.
And he made a form.
There's stories of a lot of old Kung Fu masters taking opium, but not just Kung Fu masters. If you go into Victorian England, there's lots of artists and writers and things that they used to get it over from the apothecary, from the chemist. They'd get laudanum.
That's right.
They'd get laudanum. It was something they could go and get over the counter, and it helped with a lot of people. Helped them with inspiration because it opened their minds up to things. And
it's the unconscious mind.
Yeah, I mean, there was a famous story of I cannot remember the name offhand, but he was a poet. He came out of this laudanum trip, if you like, and he had this epic poem in his head, and he started writing it out. Yeah. And then there was a knock on the door, and a friend of his wanted to go and take him down to the pub for a drink. They went off, got hammered. He came back, he'd forgotten it. So only half of that, or a part of that poem was written, but it's so good that it's still included in works of literature. You know, when they do.
I can go with that. It sounds logical to me. That sounds like my experiences,
it's not Coleridge Taylor, but anyway, it's an English kind of poet. You know, but that's the story, and I think that story is replicated quite a few times. So your story makes a lot of sense as well.
To me, it does. I've no reason to doubt it. I was told in good faith, and they said, don't judge people. He's not a junkie. This you have to see when it was in the period of history of the time. There was no other painkillers available, but that used to kill the pain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have interest with regards to the layers that you mentioned. Does that come through constant training and asking the right questions or being ready for
that's
those?
The beginning. That's the beginning. You have to ask the right questions and train properly. Then you get recognized, and you have to ask the right questions all the time. And then, of course, you can't go to any student in the group because Sifu's died now. You have to go to the ones you know got it. So I spoke to the son who I get on well with, and I said, who did your father give all the secrets to? And he said, see him, make him your best friend.
See that guy over there?
Yeah, exactly what it was. Make him your best friend. And so when Sifu died, I went up to him at the funeral and I said, I'll have some of that, please. And that was 91. So I've been learning from him on 91. And 2 years ago, he said, okay, you keep asking. I'll ask every year when I see him. I see him 3 times a year for dinner and training, still training. Show me the last bits. He said, no, there isn't. So for years he said, there isn't one. Then I said, I know there is. I don't care if you don't show me, but I know there is. Anyway, 2 years ago, he went, okay, I'm ready, you're ready, let's do it.
Wow.
I've waited all this time, 2 years ago, and it's like a little key, you know. Oh, it's wonderful. Yeah. I was happy before, but I knew there was other stuff that I wasn't getting. So I thought, I keep asking. They can say no, I don't. I accept. I don't get it. Yeah. But it seems it's coming.
Wow, that's amazing.
That's kind of it's nice because if you like you say, if it's a kid, it opens the door to a new level. There's that. Yeah. It stimulates that whole passion again, doesn't it? To kind of keep searching further.
Yeah. And as soon as the first day I did it 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago now, the first few minutes, I knew this is it. This is. I don't. If there's any more after this, I don't want it. This is exactly what I want for my training. It was a wonderful moment.
Yeah, that's great.
And do you see that as an internal layer, as in a method that?
Yeah.
Right.
It's an internal layer which matches the upstairs layer, so it marries it. I knew it was there, and I'm interested in it. Of course, because we're foreign, we might be Christian or other denominations, so they're very cautious because they don't want to get involved in your religion. One thing about Hong Kong is they're very tolerant about any religion. If you believe in God, that's great. If you don't, it's up to you.
Right.
They've got their own beliefs. I've got my own beliefs. Up to whatever you have, you're correct. That's the good thing about Hong Kong.
Yeah.
And I can see there's something going on with 2 or 3 of the seniors, not all of them, because some of them don't want it. They want to do business. That's what I love about the Hong Kong society. You're free. You have freedom.
Right.
But I'm getting what I want. So my selfishness has worked out well.
How do you view Hong Kong, or your lineage of Hong Kong? Do you view it as a hard style or a soft style, or the two together? Because generally,
you learn hard first. You have to learn hard because that means the body. The soft is usually to do with the mind as well. So you can have the soft doesn't necessarily mean what we think in the West is soft.
Right.
It doesn't mean that. It can, but it's also this. The unconscious mind can have yin yang. You know, you can expand and contract, all sorts of stuff. I think for me, that's how it is.
Right.
On a basic level, hard training, soft training. Like if I'm being punched, I do this to avoid. If I'm not, I can go forward. That's hard and soft on a basic level.
Right.
But as I get into the art more, it's much, much deeper. Don't forget, this is a 5,000-year-old culture. You know, as one of my elder brothers said, if they've got it wrong, it's going to be a good wrong. Yeah. 5,000 years of doing something, you're going to be good at it.
Yeah. And would you say that the Heigong is prevalent throughout every form and the system, or are there special Heigong training that you do?
You don't learn the Heigong until you've got the physical form correct, because you can hurt yourself.
Got you. Right.
So history says in the years ago you could have a damaged mind, and then you see it in the street, someone's got a damaged mind from Kung Fu. So they're very cautious about how they teach these deeper aspects. Right. They can't make mistakes, because if you get it wrong, and the negative aspect, the ancestors have to come down and tell you what you've done wrong. You don't upset the ancestors. No. Keep them happy.
Yeah.
Every day I talk to them. Do my best, boys.
Try.
You can't hide from them. You can hide from your dad and your granddad, but you can't hide from the ancestors.
Yeah.
It's my point of view only, what I've learned from Hong Kong. Not compulsory, never compulsory, but fascinating for me.
Is that what the third level that you're on of the Titzinkun is
that's basically basically it's on a completely different. It's to do with the unconscious mind and how it attaches to the original mind.
Right.
Before, it depends on your view. Before we had bodies, we had the mind. So this is how it works out.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah. And that's another level when you start going into collective consciousness and one mind, and
unconscious. Oh, wonderful area. Wonderful.
Yeah. Consider that we're spirit beings in a flesh body.
Exactly. Just a casing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Flesh, a lump of flesh.
Lump of flesh.
I answer to that every day.
Yeah. What would you say is the main method of power generation in Hong Kong?
Oh, well, you have to physically practice a lot. So the physical shape of the form is correct.
Yeah.
Then you've got to get healthy within it. Happy is very important in Hungar because of the liver. If you're not happy, the liver contracts and you can't make power. Because power comes from the kidneys in our family, probably every family. But if the kidneys are not right, the liver's not right, the mind's not right, there's your circle you have to break.
Right.
So first, happy. If you're happy with your training, the body will relax more. Then you can, even if you're strong, you needn't be tense. You can be strong. It's different.
Right. Yes.
Yeah. Geng, I think some Westerners, I thought Geng at first was hard. Obviously, it's not. It can be physically. You can. There's things to do with hardness. In teaching, there's some movements which are very, very hard. Oh my God, they're hard. Yeah. And straight away you have a bit soft and hard again. It's fantastic balance.
Yes.
Because you can't do this and fight. You have to be a little bit aggressive and strong to fight, to defend yourself.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. I mean, good analogies, like, when you're building that, you can build chi, you can build the internal, but it's like a hose pipe. And if the hose pipe itself is weak and you build into it, it will split if you're building too much pressure. So you need a strong physical body, and a physical healthy body to build that level up.
That's why forms were invented, I would imagine, to make sure that is always your key thing. Physically, you're okay. Then you can start working on the internal, on the hay and the breath and the mind. Without that, you've got nowhere.
Right.
And I'll go on, Nish.
And so what about two-man drills? Are there a lot of those in Hungar?
Yeah, you have to have them. If you've never done your kung fu against another human being, then you're going to go nowhere. The two-man drills are essential. You have to have this feeling of, on the first level, inadequacy. When you meet someone who's much more stronger than you, it's great for your ego. That'll make you train properly.
Yeah. Do you have two-man strengthening exercises, like to build the bridge or build the ma?
Yep. Quite a few. There's quite a few. Loads of drills, different drills.
Yeah.
Mostly hard. A couple of soft ones. All different ones.
Yeah.
Very satisfying.
Yeah. And they kind of have the function of developing the bridge and the root and the structure.
Yeah. And your reaction to an outside force coming in, because if you're not prepared for that, no matter how good your form is, it's not going to work.
Yeah.
You have to have physical structure. That gives you confidence, so you don't fold in front of someone who's been aggressive.
Yeah. Because if you're too hard, you break. You'll collapse, won't you? The structure.
Yeah. Not good for your teeth or your nose.
But Hong Kong is I mean, the practitioners are very famous for being like incredibly strong, like super sinewy and like forearms like steel. How is that? I mean, how is that developed?
It's a really good story, isn't it?
I think it's true.
Great story, but not very true.
Yeah.
I think. A lot of people hide behind that. Hungar is good for the limbs and for the bridge. Yeah. Okay, let's have a little bridge then, and they don't want to touch you. I don't mind losing. A lot of Chinese won't touch you. Oh, you're not ready. So the actual, what's the word? The legend. Someone who's got it, you can see in their eyes they've got it. So make friends with them. Or learn something from them.
Right.
This famous thing. Maybe Lam Sao Wing had strong arms, and Hung Ha Gun had strong arms. And Shin Ba. The legend of Wong Fei Hung doing a demonstration. A wild dog bit him, and his teeth fell out. That's a legend. Is it true? I mean, this is it. Is it true? Was it from one of his students? Or did the dog bite him and he didn't feel it? Did he have wood on his trousers? We don't know these things, I'm a bit cynical over the years.
Right.
Yeah.
I like the reality, the truth. If my family tell me something, I accept it because they never lie to me.
Yeah.
So, and the thing is also, even if those stories were true, that was people a few generations. It doesn't mean you've got it unless you train hard.
They didn't go to work, did they? They didn't have a job. There's a lot of Hungar masters making good money. Good luck to them. I have no problem. Not our branch, but I haven't got a lot of time for them. They're hiding behind the legend, you know?
Yeah.
It doesn't work for me.
Do you do much in the way of conditioning, inspiring in your training, in your lineage? And
because it's good, because at my age it keeps me on my toes, because I can already see I'm struggling with some of the seniors, which is a good sign.
Yeah, that is right. Yeah.
I'm struggling big time. I have to tell them, if they're watching, hopefully they're not, you'll give me grief, guys. But please don't stop. The idea is to beat the Sifu. That's the ultimate goal for any students, to beat the Sifu.
They'll watch this later on YouTube.
Still trying that one, Sifu. Still trying that one, Sifu Jim. Not having much luck.
we have to be true. We have to be true to ourselves, don't we?
If you're teaching properly, I mean, if you're going to teach
from the heart, teach from the heart.
If you're doing that,
from the ancestors. That's my belief.
Yeah. Then if that's true, then you should expect them to get better and better at some point, you know.
The word expectation never occurs in our family. It's a forbidden word. No expectation. No expectation. Just graft.
Just train.
Just graft. Yeah.
I'm not sorry, Alex. It's not being negative to you, but
no, not at all.
We don't use the word.
Great to hear that. Great to hear. It's like
don't have any. Don't have any expectation. You just everything is a surprise, and a pleasant surprise that's positive.
Excellent.
Yeah. I mean, I'll tell you a quick story. When I first started to teach, I was in West Ham Lane in Stratford. Some of you may know it.
Yeah.
And it was my first ever class, and I had no idea why I did it. I couldn't tell you why. And I was so out of my depth, because there's some Andy boys about Stratford, and I'm supposed to be this damn teacher. And we did some warm-ups and some two-man stuff, and I was doing okay. And then one of them, this lump, said, "Prove it to me now." And he attacked me out the blue. And honest to God, he tripped up on the carpet, and everyone thought I did a magic technique on him. That's the honest truth. I didn't touch him. He must have looked fantastic. I did this in Everyone went, "Wow, that's good, man." And I'm thinking, all the time. I was so lucky. That's why I believe in the ancestors, because if I was supposed to teach, that's what would have happened to keep me in front of the class. If I got battered, I'm not a teacher.
Yeah.
Never forget that first day. Well, what a day. But great. Anyway, I'm past it now. Just.
What? So, go on
now. Weapons. What kinds of weapons do you have in the system?
Most standard Shaolin ones: long sword, short weapons, long weapons, soft weapons, hard weapons.
Whole range.
We do 8.
8.
I think we do 8. Spear, usual stuff. Spear, guando, all that. Butterfly knives, all that stuff. Yeah. Straight sword, the knife.
Pole.
Poles. Yeah.
Is there a big relevance to the weapon training, or is it just like these are extra forms that you need to know the weapons?
I think they're interesting, but when students, certainly in my experience in England, the students are fascinated by the weapons, but when you're going to use them? One of the things about Hungar is that I was told is if you learn the weapon form properly, then you take the weapon out and do the form, it should still mean something.
Yes. Yeah.
And that's how we're taught in Hong Kong. So in that respect, because there's no one in front of you, you get a weapon, you can do some movements with a weapon. Imagine the weapon's the enemy's arm. That's what we're told. So in that respect, the weapon has a purpose, but it's not anymore. It's not. You can't walk on the street down Stratford High Street. You'll get arrested. So it's, you know, there is a limit.
I think it's all right down Stratford. That's like
it's allowed
now. You walk like normal now.
Yeah, it's
essential. It's normal. It looks strange. It looks strange if you haven't got a weapon.
If you haven't got one, I'm going to do the roller skate form.
So are they is it is there an idea of using the weapons for power generation to help the body generate power? So
the top form is the Bagua weapon form, the eight pole. That's the main one. That's where you get the power.
8 diagram pole.
Yeah, that's the most important one.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting.
It is. I enjoy that one the most. The 8 foot. Lovely.
Mm. Is that how long the pole is? Does it have to be a specific length, or is it tapered, or is it just a?
It should be 8 foot.
8 foot, right?
It
Interesting.
should be 8 foot. Yeah. But is that Chinese or English 8 foot? You see, again,
it's different. Yeah.
We don't know anymore. Chinese are smaller, aren't they? So I thought it used to be the king's foot, didn't it? But the emperor's probably built smaller. So historically, you have to think about all this stuff in the end.
That's right. Yeah.
So now spear goes. The tip should be to the finger when your arm's straight. That's the measurement for a spear. But you can't have a spear made nowadays. You buy them from the shop, so they're all stock. Yeah. Yeah. Stock sizes, so you have to make do with that. But originally, I would imagine they were personally made for your own body.
Yeah.
I would have thought.
Yeah, because they talk about certain poles being eyebrow level. So
eyebrow stuff.
You're either adding a bit on or taking a bit off to get it to.
What about Groucho Marx?
Yeah, exactly.
He taller than everyone else's.
Do you have much in the way of training devices or apparatus? Do you have like dummies? Do you do?
Yeah, we've got a wooden dummy, which is not the same as a Wing Chun dummy.
Right.
Ours is on three big springs.
Interesting.
Right.
Yeah. The theory is, I'm going to give you the theory. Whether I'll get criticised, I have no idea. Because the Hungarian masters were worried if the 8 foot pole is fixed and you do it wrong, the reverberation goes back into the heart, and over a period of time, it could make your body weaker. So they had this paranoia.
Mm.
Mm. Yeah, I mean, they do say, a lot of systems say don't practice on something that's dead, that's got no give.
Yeah,
because it does vibrate back in.
Very big. I think they're originally lorry springs they used to nick in the 100 years ago. Big springs on the lorry. We've got 3 of those. I had to source them for our dummy. I had to source them. Yeah.
And is there one dummy form that you have? Or
yeah, just one form. It's based on principles. It's not really a form. Where other schools have a form, we have ideas.
Right.
We have 3 or 4 ideas going through the reaction.
Is it more about angles and feeling rather than conditioning against it?
Yep. The condition is automatic because you can choose if to hit it hard or not. But you're right, it's the angles and the accuracy of the technique. That's what we're after. Yeah. And because it's moving all the time, it's already shaking now. So it always shakes that way and that way.
Yeah, so it gives it a bit of life.
Yeah.
It gives it a bit of life. So you have to kind of react to it as well.
Yeah, and try and control it.
Mm.
Like in Tenon Chung School.
Sorry, Jim.
I was just going to say, in Tenon Chung School, you had a 100-pound sandbag, 100 pounds of sand. It was bolted to the ceiling on a big girder, and I punched it and tore all my skin off of it because I did it thinking it was a punch bag. And there's a technique for this, and I did it, and it ripped all my skin off the first day. And of course, they all laugh at you because that's called being stupid. And the senior student come over, it'd be banned now because there's blood everywhere on it. It'd be like HR, they'd love it. They'd close you down. He'd come in. I'll never forget this. The senior student come in, punched it once. The bag didn't move, but the chain got weak for a second, and that really impressed me. This is an internal punch.
Wow.
I could never do it.
So
every year I tried. I never
shortened. Did it
shorten? No, the weight went out of it. If you imagine you've got 100 pounds of wet sand.
Yeah.
Which is years and years. It'd been there for years. You can see it's never been changed.
Soaked in blood.
On the outside, it's sand in the inside. It's 100 pounds. It was a heavy old thing. And I thought to punch it, and it didn't move. It took the skin off. The elder student come in, the one that now teaches me. Yeah. He just walked past, morning, as usual, punched it once, and the chain went like that for a second, lost all of its weight.
Yeah.
That's a punch.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's inside. So imagine him punching you, you don't move, it all the inside goes. I mean, that's a bit scary for me. I was very impressed with that, I have to say.
Yeah. Man.
Interesting.
Yeah.
What was I going to ask? Another question here.
I've got some questions on the group. I can go to those. Got a question from Malcolm. Hi guys. What are Sifu Jim's favorite techniques for self-defense?
Ones where you don't get hurt.
Anything that comes out.
I like there's Big Gill. Big Gill is the one where you close the enemy down as quick as possible, so you take all the air out of him, so he feels uncomfortable. Right. That's Big Gill, the third bridge of Hongar.
There you go, Malcolm.
It's not actually a technique. Can you see? It is a technique, but not a physical. It's an idea how you meet the enemy. And my Sifu taught me this first, and I wear the jacket, and he used to come up your arm as you punched him. He used to wrap the sleeve up with this technique, and it's so uncomfortable. It's like, oh, wonderful. You understand? Because he was so he deflected you, but he went in.
Yeah,
he went
got you. Yeah,
and anything you had on, it would ruffle it up and go right up your armpit. I mean, then he'd slap you and laugh, walk off.
Yeah,
because you couldn't defend.
It's a concept as well as a physical.
Yeah.
Kind of technique.
It's the crowding bridge. Tell Malcolm it's the crowding bridge, but it's not a physical fixed movement.
Right.
Yeah.
Depends how the enemy arrives.
He would have heard that. All right, Mal.
We've got a question from Sifu Dave Stevens. In Pac-May, we bite the teeth and tense the neck on techniques and weapon strikes to reduce the reverberation and recoil of power that returns to the body after contact. Oh, it's a comment. This effectively stops energy return to the brain, but the body can absorb and redistribute the recoil down towards the floor.
Yeah, Dave knows a lot because he's an acupuncturist as well. Hi, Dave. Good one. Yeah, he's spot on.
Do you have that structural alignment in your structure? Do you tense the teeth and the neck?
It depends when and where. Yeah, we do have that, but you need to know where to do it. Otherwise, you do it randomly, you can cause stress.
Yeah.
And stiffness. Yeah. Stiffness is a terrible thing in Kung Fu. Stiffness.
Yeah.
Hard, strong is great.
Yeah.
Stiffness is a terrible thing.
Terrible, yeah. Totally agree with you there.
That's probably one of the reasons why that softness was added to the style, to not just the stiffness, but to soften the power and prevent that.
Protect you. For us, it's protection. You protect yourself.
Yeah.
That's what it's for. That's how I was told. This stuff exists because it protects you as you train. And you can train hard, and you know you're never going to have an injury or an internal problem.
Yeah. Training wrong is one of the things that causes major issues for people. Yeah.
Hong Kong, you don't have that trouble in Hong Kong because they're on you all the time. They won't let you do anything wrong in Hong Kong. Not in our family.
Yeah. For the traditional schools, for those that haven't been to Hong Kong, or if you want a traditional system, and not just Hong Kong, but a good traditional teacher in the UK as well, you should get that.
Oh, there's a lot about. There's a lot about. You've got to like each other as well, haven't you? It's not good having a good teacher and not like him, or they don't like each other. You've got to like each other.
Yeah,
that's important. Yeah, when you eventually go back to teaching Sifu Jim, what does a typical class and training consist of?
You have to be relaxed when you walk in. So you fancy a cup of tea, go and have a cup of tea or a pee, and then when you're ready, we start. There's no real exact time to start because you need to be ready.
Right.
And then you have to do some warm ups.
Yeah.
But actually, funny thing is, we don't have any warm ups in Hongar. We have what's called softenings.
Right.
That's the official translation. You soften the body before you. Then you can, when you need to go hard, there's no problem because you've already. It's like shaking a cloth before flicking it at someone.
Gotcha. Yeah. Nice analogy. Yeah.
Yeah, you get a cloth and you wet it a bit, and then you've got a weapon. You've got to prepare it a little bit. So we have these what's called softenings, and some beginners come and they go, "That's not soft," because their mind thinks, their left brain thinks soft. No, it's nothing to do with that.
Yeah,
it's creating the right amount of torque and then releasing it at the right time to create a type of softness. But you're not soft per se, but it's called softenings.
Right.
It's the same with the word, things like power and tension and stuff.
Same.
When people talk about just, you know, put some, you know, be tense, it doesn't mean be tense. You know, it doesn't mean to be, you have to put a little bit of tension in the body and to relax. You relax,
you
but
put
you
a
don't
bow and
flop.
arrows, it's tensile, but it's not tensile.
Exactly.
That's what the tendon should be. Same thing.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. And then, I mean, then do you go through like footwork and step work and
Oh yeah. After the softening, you go into the feet. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, accurate. The feet must be accurate. We have to have what's called japsao. Japsao means to fiddle infinitely.
Wow, that's an interesting.
Japsao is a. I had to wait for 7-8 years before they even told me the name of it. And the japsao is where everything happens. Everything occurs between the teacher and student at the japsao moment. Japsao means to fiddle, literally to fiddle.
That's the fine tune. That's that fine tune.
Yes, and that's where you get the accuracy from, which my teacher in England said to me, I don't have it, I can't teach you it, but it exists. Great, what a great relationship. But honest.
Yeah.
I haven't got it, but you should get it. You should get it yourself.
You get it yourself, yeah. That's an interesting concept. So, chapsal in terms of that kind of. Yeah.
Malaysians call it kun chap. It's another, just a term. So, fist fiddle is Malaysian. Someone in Malaysia told me this. Was it Jap kun?
Yeah.
Kun chap. Yeah, kun chap. Fist fiddle. But in Hong Kong, we call it, our family call it japsao.
Right. So then.
Palm. Fiddling with the palm. That means you and the teacher have a fiddle.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong on that. This is a kung fu term.
I got you. With relation to this, I understand.
Yeah. It's all contextual.
It's all contextual.
We are talking and kung fu.
Right. So you'll go through. You'll have the fiddling, and then you got and then you have.
That's a direct translation, but it doesn't create. It's not good nowadays, is it?
No, it's not. So then
we prefer fine tuning now.
Fine tuning is great. Accuracy. That's why I use the word accuracy.
Yeah. And then you'll have your 2-man stuff, your forms, and then the sparring, and then just your general class overall. Yeah.
Yeah.
And also something that's really big with you in particular, your school in particular in the UK is lion dance. You do a lot of the lion dance stuff, which was really great. You know, I've seen it. Well, in '99, you did it for when Yipsoy came over, and
that's a really good day. That was a great day.
It was a great day. It was a great day, and I saw, you know, a lot of your students, Nico and a few of the others performing. They did some forms. In fact, I think I've got some video of that.
We have, Well, the guys we saw in 1999. Fast forward 20 years, we saw them in for Sifu's birthday, 2009.
And they came,
Same guys.
So they've been around a hell of a long time too, haven't they? You know,
we stayed together. Yeah.
That was great.
They were pretty good back then, from what I remember. But I've got, I don't know if you've got the old the video of that day.
No, I haven't actually.
Well, we could probably sort that out for you.
Sort that out for you.
One for Road School, wasn't it? That was first film. Road School.
The one in. It was in Covent Garden.
Covent Garden.
The Erdang Academy, was it, or something?
It was a dance academy, wasn't it?
Yeah. Or Pineapple, was it called now?
It might be Pineapple.
I remember that.
Yeah.
So we've got, I think there's the Yipsoy kind of opening the eyes of the lion.
Wow, you've got a video of that. Wow, my goodness.
Give it to you.
Yeah. We'll sort it out for you.
That'd be great.
Or send it via
WhatsApp. Oh, wonderful.
And it's got the, we'll do it definitely on a DVD or something.
Yeah, DVD, perfect.
Yeah, we're doing on DVD.
It's got you doing the Titsin Kun back then. You have a look at yourself and go, whoa, that was only second level.
Yeah. What was I doing?
I was bad at that as well.
And a few of the guys doing their forms as well. So definitely we'll get that for you.
I remember that very clearly. That's a lovely day. Really lovely
Brilliant day. That was an opener for me. It was 1999, and it was my beginning.
Was it 1999?
1999, Covent Garden.
My beginning journey in Jalgar Tonglong for me. You know.
Great. It's great.
That was a great day. And then as Nish said, recently Sifu Paul's 60th.
Yeah.
And your guys, you know, you sorted your guys out to come down and do a performance there. That was so good. That was another great day. And we missed
great to be asked. It's really nice to be asked, to be honest.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that was great. We really appreciate that.
So, in Hong Kong, do you have much in the way of chin na and locking techniques as well?
Yeah, it exists.
Yeah. Are they done as separate techniques, or is there some sort of two-man?
It's a freestyle form of grappling. Learn the formula. There's a formula. We have a simple formula.
Yeah.
And it's to do with yin yang. Once you get the yin yang, grappling is okay. That doesn't mean you're going to win, but it exists. Yeah.
This exists. Okay, that's good to know.
Yeah.
So
we're supposed to do 5 animals, so we don't speak about that. But yes, it exists. All that stuff exists. But they told me keep to the program and tell them 5 animals.
Yeah.
But you're right. When I learned this chin na formula, I was blown away. The formula is really clever.
Right. And how has your practice changed over the last 40 years, like personally for you?
It's best I've ever been, because I know what I'm doing now. My mind is now finally I know what the hell I'm doing every day. Every minute I know what I'm supposed to be doing. It's great. I've got no more questions about general questions about anything, just corrections. Yeah. And so it's so wonderful.
Yeah. How I mean, if you were to go back like 20 years to when we kind of first met you in 1999 to now, like what's been the biggest change for you since then?
Well, I would say the family have opened up and made me more comfortable with what I know.
Right. Okay.
They give me the confidence because of each layer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What would you say to someone that was interested in starting? What would your advice be to a beginner in the system?
Ask why you want to do it first. Ask yourself, why do I want to do this? Ask yourself first. This is the most important thing.
Yeah.
Say to yourself, why do I want to do this endeavor?
Yeah. Because it's a lifelong endeavor, right?
Yeah. Totally. You're giving your time up, you're giving your money up. So you need to be satisfied for yourself. The art's always going to be there.
Yeah.
If you're doing art and don't like it, find another one. It's that simple. But you need to know why. Why am I doing it? Was I bullied? Do I feel ill? Have I seen a movie that's got some movements in it? You need to have the right reason for yourself. Otherwise, 2 years later, you'll go, well, nothing's happened. You know, you might get disappointed with yourself. And you can avoid a bit of time by going in a little bit. But this is all hindsight. When I started in the 70s, I didn't have anything. I had no idea. Literally no idea. Just a Bruce Lee movie.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. That's it.
But that Fist of Fury, when it come on the screen, 71, I think it might have been. Oh, my God. Who wouldn't have seen nothing like that?
Yeah.
That was like unbelievable. I come out the cinema, kicked the emergency door open, did a flying kick and pulled a muscle. Couldn't play football that weekend.
Yeah, yeah.
That's my history.
You should have been more. You should have been more like the Crane.
I should have been
more
like. Look at the finger. Heavenly finger. Don't be a dumb, stupid boy.
We used to go kind of to late night cinemas, watch the kung fu films, come out, and then just have a battle royale out in the street, drop kicking each other. You know, that's how
the time the police panicked when the doors opened. The police panicked when the doors were shut. They were happy.
Yeah, they come. Yeah.
We've got a question from Stephen Worcester. Does Sifu Jim practice any form of iron palm?
Yeah, it's part of the Hungar.
Right.
Ah, interesting.
Again, it's a formula. It's a simple formula which you repeat 5 minutes, no more, no less. Twice a day maximum, once a day minimum.
Right.
But the palm, the bag has to be level with your chest. You're not allowed to strike down.
That's interesting.
The enemy's not there. The Sifu said you have to strike the enemy's chest, and then you have to do the elemental movements. Very simple. Yeah. Yeah. See.
Yeah.
That does sound absolutely solid, doesn't it?
Is it a £100 bag?
I haven't got one of those. Pull a fall down in England, you'd have a no ceiling in England.
Yeah.
With today's building.
So that's just a regular ongoing practice, 5 minutes a day, twice a day. Whatever.
Part of the class, you do it when you want. You do. Some people are doing 2-minute exercise. You got off. You go and do the iron palm.
Yep.
Free. some people don't want to do it because of their job. That's fine. I accept that. We've got a guitarist that won't do it.
Yeah. Does it cause bruising or injury to the hand?
No, because there's an exercise before and after it, so you don't have any trouble whatsoever.
Right. Do you use gel as well?
Yeah, have to.
Gel. So you've got your own system. Yeah.
Our family gel. Yeah, you have to.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, for many years, even from before when I started training with Sifu Paul, like Sifu Gym, as in your medicine and your healing was well known.
Was it?
Yeah. I mean, I heard some good things about it. So, can you tell us a little bit about how you learned the Dit Da, how you introduced to it, and how you progressed with it?
Oh, I love this story. I'm going to tell you exactly what happened.
Yeah.
So every day after training, we're not allowed to train in the afternoon because of the heart. If you see someone that says Chen and Chung, I trained all day, rubbish. He never let you train after about 1 o'clock. Then he made you shower and eat. Or I was a living student. If you're a visiting student, you just go off.
Yeah.
So you can do 2 hours and go off. I did 4 hours a day, and you stop at 11:30, shower and eat. That was the rules. Then the afternoon is yours. You could train again in the evening if you felt up for it.
Yeah.
So anyway, the only room in the building that was aircon, because of the Kung Fu wouldn't have aircon on, was the Dit Da clinic. And where the table was for the Sifu, he would treat his patients, and behind him was the TV. So I used to sit there watching the TV. He thought I was studying the Dit Da. That's my history.
Oh, right.
It was the only room with aircon.
Aircon, yeah.
Honest to God.
Yes.
The other rooms, he wouldn't let you have the aircon on. Only for the patients who were non-Kung Fu men.
Right.
So I sit looking at, he looked like I was looking at him because he's busy. I was looking over. I was looking at the telly and getting bored. And he thought I was interested. This went on for a couple of years until the son said, my father is very happy you're interested. I went, oh, yeah, it's great. Very fascinating. So then he said, right, next patient's yours. That's the story.
Oh, and what you like? What do you mean? Like,
well, I got found out, didn't I? So I had to do what I did. I just did something I thought I'd seen him do. It was someone's wrist, which wasn't too bad.
Yeah.
And that's a true story.
Wow.
And then I got interested
afterwards, did you then start to learn?
Yeah, because he corrected me when I was doing this rubbish massage on this woman's wrist. I was trying to fix something in the bone. Yeah. And I didn't know what I was doing, and he thought, I copied it physically, what he was doing. I wasn't really paying attention, so he corrected it. So I got interested because she went off happy. Wow, that is it. That's my story.
Wow.
Yeah.
So then, from then on, did you start learning all like massage techniques about the
formulas? The formulas. Each part of the body's got a single formula. That's Kung Fu. I think it's brilliant. Each part of the body has one formula. The neck, shoulder, they've got one formula. You just do it the rest of your life.
Interesting.
That's Hungar. I've done that at other schools. I can't say.
Yeah.
So you learn the wrist formula, you're done. Now practice it for the rest of your life. You've got the shoulder formula, the formula, back, neck. Because it's external medicine, it's not internal. So it's not that difficult.
Yeah.
Once you remember the formula and you practice it, and then you got to learn how to talk to the patient's skin and their energy. Yeah. Once you learn how to talk to them, and one of the things is, Sifu used to talk a lot to the patient. And I said, what's he saying? My father is talking rubbish. I said, what do you mean he's talking? He said, no, all he does is, because you might do something very strong on the patient, he makes them engaged in their mind. So he talks rubbish to them. Yeah. I thought it's some special spiritual conversation. No, if there's anything to take their attention away from when you're going to go hard on them and they don't panic.
So the formula is just manipulating in a pattern or whatever.
Yeah, you have to move away from the heart, follow the arteries. Yeah. You don't use the veins. You follow the artery, and then you follow the tendon and the bone along the artery. That's the basic formula.
Wow. And then is there are there different jowls for different areas, or is it just a different medicine?
I just get them from Hong Kong. So unfortunately, I don't. I can make one type. The others I can't make.
Yeah.
I can get them, but I use them, but there's not that many for me, actually, I have to say.
Yeah, okay.
There's a main one, and there's a few other ones, but internal and all that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wrong questions there. So one more thing I was going to ask about the lion dance. Do you just teach that separately as a separate unit, or is it integral to part of your?
It's integral
school?
to the system, but not compulsory for the student. That's the rules.
Right.
If you're interested, when we practice, pick us, and then there's several jobs, right? There's a head, there's the tail, there's the Buddha, fat man, fat head, and the gong and the cymbal and the drum. So there's a few jobs, and you always find in a group that one will gravitate towards what he wants to do. There's a symbolist, right? He's learned. Now we teach him it, he's ready to go. It's quite a simple formula.
Yeah. And so do you have people learn lion dance that aren't Kung Fu practitioners?
Impossible.
Right.
Impossible.
So
even though I was offered to teach someone the lion dance, but they weren't a student, so impossible, not allowed.
Not allowed? Not
allowed. They could do another style, their footwork is different. So ancestors are watching, so not allowed. Not secret, it's not secret, it's for protection.
Right.
Yeah.
So you're doing another system's footwork and I show you our head movement, somebody's not going to be happy. So the ancestors or the Sifu in Hong Kong would be upset. So why are you doing that? You're taking their money. This is spiritual thing. So very strict rules.
Yeah, people don't realise that there's a strong kind of thread of spirituality that runs through the whole lion dance process.
The first thing you do in the lion is to say hello to the three generals, which you see the pictures of most schools have three generals, one gong sitting down the other two. You have to say hello to those three in a certain way before you get in the line. You have to connect to those three generals.
Right. Yeah. So if there's a shrine there, it's the same as going into a restaurant. If there's a shrine, if there's a Guan Yu there, you have to pay respect. And the doors.
Don't have to. What we do, if we go to a new restaurant in Chinese New Year, I say to the boss, you got a Guan Gong? He said, yeah. Do you want us to do it or not? They'll go, no. Go to the punters. So the old school's going out now a little bit.
Yeah.
Because if we go to Guan Gong to pay respects in the middle of a show, it takes a few minutes, and it could be boring for the foreigners. They're going, what's going on over there? What So the line goes on the table.
Yeah.
Change it a little bit.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. You have to approach General Guan with great respect, with the lion, great respect.
Yeah. And it's
a way of going in, it's a way of coming out.
Yeah, you have to come out backwards, not.
Yeah, and you have to go slowly. There's angles, all sorts. It's serious, but I accept the rules, so I have no problem with it.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah,
because it is great. The lion dance, it's fascinating, and it's a lot deeper than people think. There's a lot of rules and lots of. Kind of regulations to it.
Yeah, we have
even how you store the lion. Store it facing into the school.
Yeah,
you can't just dump it.
As your school gets older, you can change the rules. That's what I didn't realise straight away. They asked me what I was doing after the show, and I told them, and they went, "No, don't do that anymore. There's another way because the school's getting older now." So officially, my school can take the black line out. I've never done it. Only to a Western audience. They don't understand the difference. But a black line is very aggressive. And Paul's teacher, David, I know him very well. Yeah. He said one day we'll go to Chinatown. I'll go in front of the black line. Let's stir him up a little bit. I said, we can't do that. He's like he's a bit of a firebrand. I like him.
Yeah.
He's like that. So I said, no, thanks for it. It's a great offer. I love the fact that you've said it.
Yeah.
And I really want to do it, but I'm thinking of Hong Kong. I won't do it.
Yeah. Interesting.
So I've got two black lines, but the form's a little bit different. The movement's a little bit different to the general Guan line.
Right.
There's three different types of lion dance. Again, this is contentious. Some people say it's one lion dance with three ideas, three generals. Others say it's three different aspects. So it depends. Even in our own family, they argue with each other.
Yeah. Did you learn all this in Hong Kong, or were you doing the lion dance? Okay.
No, only in Hong Kong. Yeah.
Was that just kind of like, okay, you have to learn this now? You have to learn this now, or was it you just?
No. I can tell you the truth again. This is how stupid I'm in my life. I'm on the plane in January '88. I remember this. Some things I don't remember. This I remember, and I didn't have a question because I was allowed a question per trip. That's a big story in our family.
Interesting. One question. Only allowed
to be allowed to. Well, you don't ask questions for the first couple of years. You don't. What are you going to ask? That's what they say. You've got questions. You don't have anything to ask. So don't ask questions. Train. Yeah. So one year they said, "Have you got a question?" And I was totally not ready. So I went, "I got a question. Yeah. Can I have a school T-shirt?" Oh, yeah. That's it. That's done. So I blew it because I wasn't ready. I wasted it. So. Then another year, I wanted to learn the butterfly knives, which the old man doesn't teach to everybody. So I thought, right, I'm on the plane. Of course, in those days, a long journey. I'm thinking, right, I'll be question ready. So when I arrive, after all the niceties and get me room, I know what I want. This particular trip, I didn't have a question. And it was getting closer and closer. We're going over Russia. We're going over Beijing. We're going into... And I thought, I haven't got a question. I just don't know what to ask. So I got caught out again. And they said, question. Lined up. That's it. So they went, right, here's an address, off you go. To the main teacher of line dance in our school, because my Sifu was getting older then. So he gave me to what we call Mr. Lion. He was the first world champion in Hong Kong. Leung Fuk is a best line dancer for us.
Yeah, wow.
So he taught me. Well, teaches me, still teaching me.
Yeah. Right, still.
He's researching still. He goes to China and if he hears of someone that knew about an old lion dance, you just go straight to that town and find him, and ask him what you used to do, because these guys live in memories, aren't they? They don't come out because of the communist regime, and they might be in a village where they can't speak to him. It's all complicated, but he'll just bugger off. Where's Mr. Lee? He's going to get some information from someone random in China.
Wow. Just about lion dance. Does he do just lions, or does he do the unicorns as well? Just purely on.
He doesn't do unicorn. No, he does the lion and the dragon.
Yeah. Unicorn. Oh, okay, and dragon. Okay.
Yeah. For some reason, all the branches I know don't do the unicorn. I don't know. It's a very spiritual thing, the unicorn.
Yeah, it's more of like the haka.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. Did have a question in my head, and I can't think what it was now. No.
Okay. Don't worry.
No, don't worry.
Sound like me.
We can.
Next year.
We can have that all the time. It's great. Send mine.
we can wrap up because we're coming up to that sort of 2 hour mark. I've
got to get my granddaughter back, otherwise I'll get trouble from my daughter.
Well, it's been great having you. I learned so much about Hong Kong that I didn't know, and it was fantastic talking to you. Thank you so much for giving us your time.
There is one more question. One more question just come in.
Yeah.
This is a really good one, and it touches on what I was thinking. Stephen Worcester says, some branches of Hungar practice the spirit boxing element where the ancestors take over the body, like Sundar. The Sifu Gym practice this part?
That's to do with some of the triads who do that in Hong Kong, quite common. Our school, we do a type of that, but never to let the control go.
Right.
Invite, yes, but never let the control. Don't give ourselves. It's a different idea.
I
know what he's meant. I know what he means, but we don't do the giving of it. We do the inviting.
Yeah, it's from what I understand, it's the Sundays calling certain ancestors down to give you that ferocity.
There's an incantation you use. You have to you open and close with different incantation. You open with one and close with the other. I don't play with it. I know what I'm doing, but I do exactly what I know, no more, no less.
Yeah.
Right.
Our branch does the inviting. We connect to the ancestors, but we don't encourage them to enter.
Yes.
That's a personal choice. If you like to do it, and you've got guidance, it's fine. I have done it once. I've allowed it to happen once. Great results, but I have no interest in doing it regularly.
Yeah.
That's nice.
Because it exists within Jiao Tonglong as well.
Yeah.
But like Sifu Paul has said, it's like, are you willing to kind of invite these spirits in? Because they're like hungry ghosts.
Yep.
They want something in return. So
that's what I'm saying. You invite is one thing, but to enter, no. I'll tell you quickly, I'll tell you my experience in this. I got the incantations. I know the incantations in Cantonese. I know the hand movements and the character you must make with your hand. And I forgot to close it. I forgot to close the portal.
Right.
I went home from the class, got a phone call at 3 a.m. The school had got broken into. That's my experience. I'll never do it again.
Yeah.
I opened, I didn't close. I forgot. Went home. We could have been broken into anyway. There's always going to be that element, but it's just too close for me. It was too, so I won't play with that ever again.
That was a payback with extra interest that you did.
Yeah, there you go. You soon get taught your ways.
All right,
brilliant. Thank you, Jim Uglow. It's been an absolute pleasure talking to you.
I've enjoyed myself. I have to say,
thanks for being so open and generous with your knowledge.
Your time.
I found it really interesting. It's opened up Hungar for me in a big way.
But also I've got an interesting history. I just happen to, I want to get more of it, so I know the true history of where I'm going. It's a nice feeling.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully, once this whole pandemic thing kind of calms down.
You mean the plandemic?
Yeah, the pandemic. We can. It would be great to meet you for some yum cha or.
Yeah, that'd be great. That'd be great. We'll have to wait and see. We'll try. We'll do our best.
All right, fantastic.
All right. Guys, I'd like to appreciate. Thanks for inviting me. I've really enjoyed it. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Thank you.
Take
Cheers.
care.
Thank you.
Bye bye.
Cheers, Jim.
Bye bye, guys.
Bye bye.